Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura. I'm your lovely host, but I am not alone. I am joined by my awesome co-host, Cristian Putalias. And as well, we have Juan Pereira for you guys joining us. But let me go ahead and get Chris in here so he can say hello. Buenas noches. Buenos dias.
Hello. Buenas noches. Buenos dias.
There you go. Exactly how it is, man. But, before we kind of break the ice and kind of maybe hit a couple free topics before we get into Dynamo, let me go ahead and get Juan in here as well. Juan, welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast, man. Love having you in the show, man.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. Some good stuff to talk about today.
It's getting closer and closer to the season to begin. It kind of feels like it's so far away, but then you look at the calendar and we are already in February. So it's going to get here sooner than later. And I don't know about you guys. I am not the most... I feel like I'm pretty leveled. I'm not the optimistic. I'm not the pessimistic guy. But, every season brings new hope. And as I named this episode, Hitting New Heights, a little bit of a jab to the Kelsey brothers, their New Heights podcast as well. But the Houston Dynamo looks like they're doing everything right, man, as we go. But, guys, it's been a week since we last spoke. Christian, how is the book club going? And are we gonna start tracking your miles as well?
Yes.
Your running miles, man. How you doing?
I am reading. I am running. I guess all the R's. Good, man. Good. Book is going fine. I'm reading 2 books currently. 2.5, I guess. I'm reading the kids. Me and the kids have our nighttime routine where we read Narnia. We're on book number 5. So Prince Caspian? No, we already saw Prince Caspian. This one is the Dawn Treader. So we have that, and then me myself, I'm reading with a couple of friends. We're reading The Odyssey. So because there's a movie coming out this summer. So if you guys are a fan of that, I would say join in. We have a little book club. And then me personally, I also entered another book club, and we're reading Les Mis. So I'm telling everybody about Les Mis. It's a great book, but it's like yay big. So I'm 25% in, according to my app, that it tracks the pages and all that stuff. So I'm almost there, I guess.
It's funny because I think I mentioned it. Like this year, it's for me. I've never really been like a resolution person, even though somehow I do write things like I want to do this, right? I want to meet this goal. And a lot of it for me is more like just follow through, like don't quit.
Yes.
Like, especially because I started to kind of add new stuff to my routine, like in October, November. And it's like, man, don't give up. Just make it a habit, continue it. Don't start a new one if you don't have to, basically.
You know what helps though? I mean, I'm sure you guys would agree and know, but accountability, having like a group of people around you that can like push you and guide you. Like, for example, me and for February, like running wise, I have a friend that he's also, trying to lose weight. He lost a lot of weight. Shout out to my boy Brian. He lost like 50 pounds already in like the last year. And it's all natural. No funny business. No funny business.
No shortcut.
But shout out to my other.
I will say it's not a shortcut. There's science.
Somewhat,
to that sure,
there's science.
But you got to sweat it out. That's how
exactly.
I feel it.
So he lost a lot of weight, and he got a promotion at work, and
nice.
So he's moving.
He's living the life, man.
Yeah, and this guy, he said, "Hey, we're doing 100 miles in February." I was like, 100 miles? What? I brought him down to 50.
There you go. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So
those New Year initiatives are pretty good because they'll keep you going at least for a month, and then eventually it'll trickle out. But you know what? You start on the right foot. We're letting people trickle in. Jay Hurtado was the first one to comment, and for all I can tell, he flicked us off an emoji because we can't see what he posted. Maddie says,
is this one.
Okay. Maddie said 100 is too many, even for me. Shout out to Maddie as well.
She did. She shout out. Yeah, hold on. I don't know if she wanted to share, but I'm gonna share it anyways because I think it's inspiring. I guess she had an accident or something happened to her that they told her that she wasn't gonna be able to walk normally or not walk at all, and she just finished a 10K and her time was tremendous. I keep up with her on Strava, so if you guys are there, keep up with us. Also running, and her times are great. She's super fast, super quick.
Yep.
So shout out to Maddie that she ran a 10K this past weekend or this past week. So
that's incredible. That's
incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah. What about you, Juan? What are you doing, man? We're just talking about Chris today.
My bad.
You're good. Well, I guess like y'all said, like New Year's resolutions are always a bit weird for me because I always like to say like if you have an idea for resolution, you should get started the day you have the idea. Why wait until the start of a new year to do it?
Right. Yeah. A new year is a new day for me at least.
Yeah, 100%. But I did come up with an idea like around the 5th of January to try to get to 10,000 push-ups by the end of the year. Not crazy. However, like I've been working out since like let's say August. I guess combining that with like some push-up practice and I guess hitting like that milestone like as a minimum, I feel like would be good for me to like show consistency. So that's what I've been up to. I think I'm at like 800 push-ups for January.
Oh, there you
Gotta
go.
do mine for the day, but starting off strong.
That's good. 800 is a lot, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what my first train of thought there was. I forget who or which college mascot has to do push-up every time they score. There's a couple, but there's one that has to do I think 10 push-ups every time they score, and I think at one point they had to change mascots because the guy couldn't do it anymore. Like the team was winning, like 70-0, and this guy has to do. Basically, you keep adding. So every score says like they score a touchdown is Maddie says the Cougars have push-ups too. That's true, but I think those are ROTC people or whatever those guys. And but yeah, so basically they just keep adding it. So it's like you go from 10. Oh, they scored 14 points. Now you got to do 20, and you just keep adding it. So yeah, I mean, eventually you have to do like 200 push-ups. You're dead by the time you're doing it.
That's wild. Especially if your team is good, right?
Absolutely, dude. Exactly. I think the team was actually the Oregon Ducks. I think that's who it was. And so yeah, anyway, and they tend to be pretty good. So like imagine have to sub in a new mascot. Your mascot went from like a 6 foot person, and they're like, oh, there's a new guy because the mascot's taller. So that's
he gets smaller week after week. Is like a different size duck. He's like, oh no, that's his brother.
Yeah. I know it feels like we're rambling, but there's really hasn't been a ton of news that we haven't touched on. Obviously, we'll talk Houston Dynamo, the confirmation of one of the biggest signings for the club, definitely in its history. By the end of the day, he'll probably be worth around $10 million that the team paid for his services. And Mateusz Bogusz, as well as the addition of a fullback, another defensive line person or player here with Franco Negri. So I mean, you maybe need a Franco. An Argentinian Franco doesn't do you bad. Never hurts to have. And we'll touch a little bit on the preseason games that at the end of the day is just preseason, but the team is scoring goals, so that's important to note as well. And so yeah, there's not a ton, and maybe we'll go a little freestyle and as we go through the topics. And if you're listening like Maddie and Jay, who already commented here live, feel free to leave your comments, questions, concerns, negativity, positivity, whatever you may have, leave it here in the Bayou Banter. We're excited to get together this beautiful Monday night. If you're listening to us live, fantastic. If not, if you are one of those people that listen to us on the drive to work the next day, excited that you guys are a part of our community. But Chris, before we get started, man, you want to let the people know how they can connect with us.
And let me rattle off the first question of the day, and then I'll get to the sponsors. Is Mateusz Bogusz the best DP that Dynamo has ever signed? So think about that. Well, we say you can find us at BayouCitySoccer.net. That's where we're going to have everything and anything that we do here at Bayou City Soccer. So go check us out. That's the website. You can find us on social media, on X, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. No, I already said Twitter. Sorry. X, Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And then there's another one, Blue Sky. You can find us there at Bayou City Soccer. You can find us there. Send us a message, like, subscribe, and all these things. Don't forget, if you are watching, leave a like right now if you can. That obviously helps us get to more eyes in this YouTube world. And if you're listening on the next day on an app or something like that, make sure you leave us a review. If you can, 5 stars. And just say something nice if you can. Just leave us a little positive comment, which it helps the algorithm get us to more eyes and more ears and stuff like that. To our sponsors, shout out to Ugly Guppy at uglyguppy.com. So if you need any printing done or anything of that nature, hit those guys up. They have great rates and they can always help you out and accommodate for anything that you have, any event or anything like that. At uglyguppy.com, you can hit them up there. Elotes Bravos, you can always find them at Shell Energy Stadium. Make sure you stop by. I don't know if they're going to be in the same spot, but I'm sure they probably will. But it's on the northwestern corner, if I believe, of the stadium. So you can just find them there. If you don't know what the northwestern corner is, it's one of the corners. So just you'll probably smell them. Always fresh, never can. If I think is their slogan or something like that, or always roasted, never in a can. I don't know. All I know is that elotes are really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you can't find it, you're gonna smell them. That's the thing.
Exactly. Let the smell take you there. And then last but not least, We Got Soccer, WeGotSoccer.com. They have 2 stores in Houston, one in Tomball, one over there in the West Chase area. Go check those guys out. I'm actually gonna be out there this week. I gotta get new cleats. So I'm going to go be over there paying them a visit. They have jerseys from, I think, probably most of the teams that are popping right now. Even Wrexham, they have jerseys. Last time we went, they had Wrexham jerseys. So go check those guys out. And they're also the official 2DN section for Liga MX. So they literally have all the Liga MX shirts. So if you're a Mexican national or just love Liga MX, take your dad, take your tío, take your tía, and just get them
You may have to give me a jersey when you're up there, bro. Come on.
Hey,
hook it up.
We can try. An America jersey, right? Never goes wrong. But yeah, check them out at WeGotSoccer.com. They also have great deals here and there. So for holidays and stuff like that, they always have deals percentages off, or buy one get the other one 50% off and stuff like that. So they have really cool stuff, and they always have the newest and the finest cleats that you might want or need. They have cleats for $350. I was like, dang, I didn't even know they made these, but they have them there. So you're looking for the Mbappes, the Ronaldos, the Messis, whoever player, the Bellinghams, and all these shoes that are coming out right now. I even saw they had the Beckhams, the pink ones, the Miami ones. Those are really nice.
Those are really nice.
So just go check them out. WeGotSoccer.com, and we move on.
Well done. Yeah, absolutely, man. We appreciate the support as well from our sponsors and our friends, as well as you guys. So if you are interested in joining the community, we do have a Discord that for what is it, $3 a month or so, you help us continue to run everything we use to create content and keep the news of the Houston Dynamo, obviously Houston Dash as well, and Houston Dynamo 2 running. But that's as much as I'll talk about that. I'm not the best when it comes to getting people into spending their own money, but hey, it's worth spent. It's spent correctly. It goes a long way. Yeah, I cannot see. I see Edson, our buddy Edson, put an emoji in here as well that I can't see. I'm sure you can see it. Salute to him. I'm sure he's very sad with his Tigres. No, I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, so let's go right away. I know Jay mentioned about the preseason game, and also how you pronounce Mateusz Bogusz. I think he goes by Mati, so we'll call him Mati. Makes it easier for everybody. Especially Chris, you're gonna like this. I did not know this thing existed, but since we got Bogusz arrived, from Cruz Azul, check this out.
La máquina se quedó.
Yes, I found that there's a setting that you can actually add a bunch of sounds now. Look at that. That's why they
That's awesome.
More on StreamYard at this. All this funky stuff that you do. But no, we talked about it last week Chris about just how important this guy could be. Obviously, he had a interesting 2025 season that he did not see a ton of time for the amount of money that they paid for him. When the rumors started of him possibly arriving to the Houston Dynamo and it got a little closer, because I mean, I felt like it went really quick for them to say, hey, the deal is done, but it took a while for the club to actually let go of him. And obviously all the turmoil that happened with Borja. We talked about Borja and you're like, wait, what? He just got there. No, dude, I'm telling you, everything I'm reading, he looks like he's on his way out. And sure enough, he's gone.
He's out. Yeah.
And he went to Emirates for a bigger deal and just kind of left Cruz Azul stranded. And that's probably kind of what made everything a little crazy. You know, Cruz Azul was trying to get more money. Anyways, he is a Houston Dynamo player now. He has been announced. Thursday, as you speak, Christian, they are going to be having a presser for media to go out there and see his first official practice with the Houston Dynamo in Houston. And of course, you get to talk to like the newest DP as you make the question, is Bogusz the best DP signed? Maybe the question should be, will he be the best DP the team has signed? So there's a lot of coming in. There's like a lot of expectation, right? Of course. But to me, to answer your question, I think Hector Herrera was that when he was signed, just hype wise. But I think he could be the best DP the team has ever signed if everything goes correct. But Juan, we'll start with you. We don't want to keep you just listening. we gotta put you to work.
Appreciate it.
No, but no. What's your opinion? I mean, I don't expect you to say, hey, man, I watch every single game of him in Liga MX and Cruz Azul. But we saw enough of him, with LAFC. And kind of how are you, or how excited are you of him coming into the team? And maybe, what's your expectation, as real as you can give it?
I feel like for 2 years now, we've wanted a player that does something. And I don't mean that in the way of like Bossy making passes, Kowalczyk making passes, and Ali making runs. Someone that makes stuff happen. What I thought Linger would be coming into the team. Someone that would shoot a little more, make stuff happen behind the striker. And I hope it's time for me to say, yeah, they got the guy. I really hope so. I mean, Bogusz brings elite MLS experience and one of the better players in recent MLS memory, in my opinion. Obviously, his stint at Cruz Azul wasn't the best, but there's obviously a player there that can compete at the highest level of MLS. And maybe be a player that leads a contending team for an MLS Cup. Maybe. I mean, we really have to see where he comes off his Cruz Azul stint, but I honestly think it's more of a scheme thing rather than a player quality thing. I'm excited, but I was also excited for Linger. And, he's fine, but the way things are looking, it's like he'll probably be on the bench the way the preseason matches have been looking. So, I mean, it's easy to get excited about the big price, the big fee, the hype coming in with the player. But what we need to see is, will he do stuff? Will he shoot?
I think what helps Bogusz, whenever you're comparing him to Linger, is that Linger came in by himself, right? And then when you bring Bogusz, now you're bringing other playmakers around him that can obviously help him. There's not a Dennis Bouanga in the team as much as you would like to have a guy like that. I mean,
Ponce?
At least that we know of, right? Yeah, Ponce. Come on, Ponce. You got to score more goals. But there's maybe not that dynamic player on top as of right now. But the players that they brought in, can definitely help spark that. And who knows? Maybe Mati is the Bouanga. He can turn into a Bouanga for the Houston Dynamo, right? He's going to be asked to do a lot more than he was being asked with LAFC and obviously with Cruz Azul. And it looked like he just kind of fell down the depth chart. And that's kind of where I was going initially when I was talking about when his rumors happened. That even their coach, Cruz Azul's coach, was saying that he's a great guy. He brings a lot of juice to the team, and he's an attacker. But there's a guy playing better than him, and basically booted him out. And his minutes were diminished because of that. And we know that Liga MX and playing in a top, consider a top 5 team from the league, so that always wants to win. They never do, but they always want to win. There's a lot of pressure in comparison to what maybe the Houston Dynamo will expect. Now, Cespo mentions it, right? It's a guy that at the end of the day, they're going to pay a lot of money from him, similar to what Ezequiel Ponce is, a guy that they spend a lot of money, and it starts to get like, man, we can't be waiting as much as we would want, right? Ponce, I think if with all the players that were brought in, including Bogusz, if Ponce doesn't hit 15 goals this season, then it's time to start moving away from a guy like that you pay this amount of money. And when it comes to Bogusz, yeah.
No, I did want to like hop in and say something real quick. I mean, Bogusz is coming in the summer, right? He's coming in before the season starts. I feel like Linger and Ponce have kind of had the benefit of the doubt where it's like, yeah, they come in while the season's kind of happening, like this weird stasis of like they'll be playing a little more, maybe they'll get fatigued. Bogusz, I don't think really has that excuse, and neither all of the guys that come in now.
Absolutely, so, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, and that's good. That's great, right? That you let them acclimate. Of course, I mean, it's 37 degrees as of like the last couple of days here in Houston, which is not normal. But getting them acclimated, get them just together. You're right. A lot of the guys like Linger, like Ali, some of the players that we're bringing in like to begin the season were actually arriving to the team like in March or April by the time they were able to play. So let's see. Yeah, so it's one of those that is interesting, and I think the expectation has to be really high for those type of players. And you expect for a massive comeback, for the Houston Dynamo. They really struggled last year, and we're not gonna spend too much time talking about that really, disappointing season. But now you look at the players that are coming in, and I still think there's a couple players missing, especially defensively, to feel like, okay, this team is in a way better spot than they were. Christian, Bogusz, big deal. Negative, big deal to bring in for depth in his case. But yeah, just your thoughts on those two players that were recently added by the team.
Let me give you guys this though. Even though we still kind of don't know we don't know what Mati is gonna bring into his team, because obviously he hasn't played a single minute yet. But I think the one thing that is different from him than Linger and any other DP, even Ponce or whoever you want to throw out there that came into this Houston Dynamo as a DP or branded as a DP, even Hector Herrera, is that Mateo or Mati Bogusz, or Bogusz, however you want to call it. I'm gonna call him Mati.
No, I think you did it perfectly the first time, brother.
Sorry, man. But Mati, he's proven in MLS, right? So that's a big thing. The fact that he played 2 years in LAFC, the first year was like meh, like he had 3 goals, 3 assists. He played 28 matches. He started 20 of them. I would say how many minutes he played, but that doesn't make a difference to me, even though it makes a difference to everybody else, to our stat nerds. But if you look at the second year, he played 32 matches. He started 31 of them, and his goal and assist was 15 goals and 6 assists, which is 21 contributions of goal. So that tells you so much that obviously, he was surrounded by an elite team in a way, right? Because if you look at, the team that in 2024 LAFC has, and I'll be honest, LAFC has an elite team almost every single year because they have the wallet for it. He was as elite as the rest of them. You know what I mean? Like he had 21 contributions, like goal contributions, which tells you that he wasn't only part of a star team, but he was a star in a star team. So obviously he's good enough to be able to handle a team or throw a team on his back, even at 20. How old is he? He was 22 then. He'll be 23, 24 now.
Wow.
And, hopefully he'll be more mature. I mean, he's 24. He's a young child. Like, he's still a kid himself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he has a lot to prove.
And then if you throw like a guy like Achacha, who has experience now in MLS, right? Left, came back, but he knows what it takes to play in MLS. He's going to be surrounded with Arthur, maybe second year or third year for Ponce that has some experience. Like, you have guys that have played in the MLS, and then you have a guy that in Mati that has excelled in the MLS. I think this, if I was going to hype anybody, it would be him, just because of what he has shown in the past in this league, right? So I think, yeah, the expectation should be a lot more and a lot higher, in my opinion, than Achache and Lingard and like I said, whoever else, just because of that, just because of his history.
Yeah.
And I don't think it should be like questionable in the sense of like, oh, let's see what happens. It's like, nah, I think the pressure should be on him from the beginning of time because he already has been here and he has proven that he can be good in this league. So why not do it in this team? Obviously, like I said, surrounded by a completely different team. But I feel like, you have Jack McGlynn, one of the best rising stars in the league itself. You have Guillermo, who just, he was good at Santos. You're building a whole team basically around a Mati that could flourish and he could just, be free and play soccer. We were talking last episode, with Arthur and Bosad in the midfield. It kind of gives you room to kind of play forward. If you're, Jack McGlynn and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about the defensive side. And I think Mati coming into this team, I think he also can just be free to attack and not have to worry to come back. Or, he can just create forward, not create backwards, if that makes any sense. So
no, that's exactly what I meant earlier. I feel like we've had so many players that can control the ball and, play it backwards. But now I feel like we have a player that if we allow him to, can create stuff forward at an elite rate. Yes. And that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So the pressure should be from the beginning.
And it's a year that applies pressure to everybody, and we know that this is contract year for like Ben Olsen, right? I mean, for coaching, for the some of the front office people, obviously, and there's been some rotation with some guys leaving and new guys coming in that case, and obviously like a Josh Wolfs is out of the picture. So what changes, from the other coaching staff and what needs to be added. And then whenever you get this amount of weapons in the attack, right? I think this is something we mentioned all last year, that, you have your best, quote unquote, best 11. And as soon as the team fell behind and you needed like a boost, you would look at at the bench and it's like, who am I putting in? And it was really like, okay, I guess Kovalchik is coming in. That's the only guy that gives me something different. Now you're going to have, again, a Linger and probably in the bench, a Dwayne Holmes in the bench, obviously one of a Nali possibly in the bench, a Quinones in the bench. So there's so many different players with different characteristics off the bench that can come in and just come in at different scenarios. Obviously, I guess moving and I know we didn't spend too much time in Franco Negri, and we can come back and add a little bit about him. But that I mentioned about how there's been 2 preseason games, technically 3, but you've seen the team score goals, which is something that you had not seen in the past as much. And so they've gotten they haven't held a clean sheet, I don't think, the entire time. But you know what? If you can score more goals than the opposition, that's I'm no mathematician, but you
usually win.
Usually win.
Hey, also, I mean, talking about preseason, right? I guess if we're getting kind of a little bit into it, but I mean, when you look at preseason, what do you see a lot of? Markanik, is that what we're calling him?
Yes.
That kid is blowing up, and it's kind of showing, the real problem that it could be for Ponce or even Mateusz Bogusz that play in more of an attacking role, number 9 or false 9 or whatever it may be that they play. But obviously he's more of a 9, more of a box guy, it seems. But I mean, preseason is preseason. Obviously everybody's still kind of fine-tuning, getting rhythms, getting to know everybody.
But it's
the
very
confidence.
Yeah, and it's really good because it's another guy that obviously had a really great 2024 season, right? Broke a record in scoring in USL Championship, gets sold overseas to play in Spain, and basically gets relegated to the bench. So you go from scoring pretty much a goal every game in USL to like not really seeing the field anymore. And so, as you mentioned, he's hungry. I think Jay mentioned the same thing. Like it's one of those things that I joke around with you guys, and I'm like, hey, is Ponce even playing? I mean, come on, like there's not one goal, But honestly, who cares if you're still, again, you're winning those games, you're scoring goals. at the end of the day, do you want more from your DP? Yes.
Yeah.
But there's just so much you can do, right? It gets to the point that if this continues, if you go into match day 1 and like the first 5 games, Ponce is not scoring, but you get Nicholas to come in and score a couple goals and win you games, did you take it, right? And then you worry about Ponce's situation later on, and it's something that it's not necessarily under Ben Olsen's control, but we know that Ben Olsen will play whoever has a hot hand at the end of the day. Yeah, and that's important. We saw that with Toyosi coming in, not doing much. Siegel was playing very well, and he went with Siegel. It's one of those that I don't think he's necessarily afraid to bench a DP or whatever the case may be. If they're not really providing what he needs, then it's going to be, moved around. To answer really a quick Maddie's question about the defense, I don't think it's necessarily figured out yet. I think the chemistry needs to be built up. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I think they need more pieces into that defensive line to create that competition and just to get more people used to each other. They have really good players. Obviously, the 3 center backs that they have, I think, are fantastic. And then obviously Dorsey, we already know that Dorsey, he's a good defender, but he's a winger at heart, it seems like, in this system. And then Felipe Andrade doesn't fall too far behind, as he loves to attack and score goals as well. And bringing a guy like Franco Negri, I think it's a guy that he's more of a more static guy that you may have, and he can even switch to like a center back position as needed. Similar to an extent to what maybe Franco Escobar gave you as well. So it's good to have that, but I still think there's a couple more players that need to be added in that role. Yes, Chris, sorry.
No, question. How did you guys like seeing the back 3, or I don't know if back 3 or back 5, but the fact that they were playing with 3 center backs and then obviously Dorsey and Andrade on the wings, kind of a little bit higher. Do you guys like that? Do you guys, instead of your typical 4 in the back, going to like 3 or 5, 3 center backs, and then giving those guys a lot of liberty to go up, because you have 3 really good center backs to kind of back you up in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because when we talk about the Dynamo, there's 2 shapes, the in possession shape and the out of possession shape. And in the in possession shape, we've seen the 3 back for a while. What is really interesting is what you said, the second part, the 5 back, the possibility of seeing a 5 back, those 3 center backs with 2 wing backs who can drop back or provide pressure up front. And I think what really interests me about that is that we could see a lot of players play those wing back roles. It could be Dorsey, it could be Andrade, it could be Enali, it could be Quinones. It really depends. Like, I mean, if I'm thinking back to last year, the year before, I think that would have been an incredible position for someone like Ali to be in. I mean, we've always asked about some of these players that we've had at the wing with their good work rate. Can we pull them back? Can we use some of their defensive work rate to then push forward? I think it's really interesting what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because you've seen, as you mentioned, the shift of 4-3-3 to eventually more 3 in the back and letting Dorsey do his thing, but going to from the start, or just kind of seeing the formation change, which obviously is something we haven't seen from Ben Olsen's tactics, and it's something that they seem to be pushing a lot. You've heard Pat mention it, you've heard Ben talk about it, about just because of the amount of personnel you have, you really do have to learn it and tweak as needed. And I know Andrade, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he's played in every game or not, but he may be injured. We really don't have a lot of information, and being preseason, they're going to take it, slow. And as long as the team is kind of chugging along, is not a big deal. In that sense. Now, if you're losing every single game from the get-go, then you're going to start asking a lot of questions. But it's something that happens every single season, every preseason. There's always a guy kind of with a lingering injury, and they prefer to sit him out and just give them that time to recover it and not push them if they don't need to. And then that is a young kid. He's a guy that can definitely, he has that, the rubber in his muscles, man. He can bounce back quite easily, depending what the situation may be. But, it hasn't been mentioned as a something that I guess it's really of concern. So we can just hope that, he'll be healthy, come match day 1 against Chicago Fire at Shell Energy Stadium. Man, it's interesting. I know people are like really getting into the idea of like getting this game just started, man. And obviously, we talked about the preseason games. There is another preseason game here February 4th against San Antonio FC at HSP. I believe that one's going to be closed door. I can't remember if it's, or at least maybe media, maybe available to show up, but I want to say it's probably closed door to everybody. Which is, I guess, the Twitter admin for the Houston Dynamo has been, doing a fantastic job of just keeping everybody informed and entertained as well. So shout out to the admin. But they will be playing on Saturday as well. Again, February 7th against, and I had it wide open, Atlanta United FC at 7 p.m. That one will be open to media. Not necessarily sure if they will allow any type of fans, maybe, exclusive fans, wouldn't be surprised, but that'd be on Saturday at 7 p.m. Yes, Chris?
No, I'm saying the 14. I'm sure you're getting to it.
Yes. Well, and that's this week, but yes, the week next week, February 11 at 11 a.m. they'll be playing FC Dallas in Toyota Stadium in Frisco, Texas. And the last and final preseason match will be against New York Red Bulls, Shell Energy Stadium. Obviously, this one is open to the public, being a fan fest. They'll have a ton of activities, I guess, happening. I know that they definitely will. And somewhere in there will be a media preseason game that we are, I think everybody here, Juan's going, Chris is going, myself is going. Telling this, guys, the last time I played soccer was the last media game that I went to. So
it's like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I when I was like early 20s, I retired. Like I made myself retire. Like I still could play. I played at like Sunday league for a long time, but like it got to the point that I'm like, man, I really don't have time for it, and I do miss it. Like and I'm very competitive. And Chris, I mean, the last time I played was when we all played together, and I'm a guy that's loud, and I'm like very vocal when it comes to like, managing the game, and I know I can get really annoying, but I mean, it's just my competitive drive is in it. And because of that, I think I try to like kind of calm it down and be like, hey man, this is a fun, this is exactly. This is for fun, man. This is for fun. But no, I'm excited for that. But yeah, that's all happening quite quickly. We'll talk more about those games next week, of course, and maybe anything else that we may find out for that fan fest coming up. Let me see. Is a fan fest also yes, it is a preseason game. Big Bites and who needs to? Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird that it's on Valentine's. At least they did it early Valentine's. Imagine if it was like a 7 p.m. thing. Like, bro, like
horrible.
It would be a bunch of single dudes.
Yeah, nothing but
I would assume. I'm not gonna assume, but I will assume
everybody
or single girls.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hey, maybe you find the love of your life after you broke up with somebody because they didn't want to keep up with your love for soccer and the Houston Dynamo, right? So
I asked my wife today. I was like, hey, I was like, you want to go to the media game to like watch me play? And she was like, are you asking me? Or are you telling me? I was like, I don't know.
It's like I got you tickets like 3 weeks ago, but I just wanted to let you know now.
She's like, you want me to go watch you play? I was like, it'll be cool.
Nah,
that's
man.
funny.
I'm gonna save the embarrassment for my kids and everything. So it's like I told them, I didn't even mention it. I just told my wife, "Hey, this is happening. I'll be there," and that's it. That's it.
It's like it's too expensive. I can't take you.
Yeah, exactly. But no, man. Again, it's fun. I think as the season's kind of chugging along. I won't play my train sound that I found in here again. So they chug along.
What other sounds you got?
But no, I think it's interesting. Any more questions that you guys may have on the chat, put it on here. Let me see. Anything else?
Also, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This is probably way too early, right?
Way too early.
Way too early. But which is, I think, is a question that could be, I don't know if important, but obviously as the season goes on, And we talked about Ben Olsen and the leash, right? I think last year when the team started with 10 games, and I think there was no wins in 10 games, or maybe one or two. We talked about, how long is the leash for Ben Olsen, right?
Yeah.
And given the fact that he's in a contract year, his team is I think is super competitive in my opinion. And he has a good team, right? I think Asher and Pat hooked him up this year and gave him they didn't buy him a new car, but it's
they left
yeah,
you got to be honest. They left their boys stranded last year, man.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
They kind of gave him a one that was already paid off. They paid cash, for it. But this one, it's a good finance. There's some good loans. There's some good guys that they were able to sign. Some guys that were proven with experience. Then you got some young guys that have something to prove, right? Like Markanich. But I think he has a really good team, and I mean he has said it right a couple of times on those pressers that we get, that he has the decision has become tough for him now. Like, who do we play? How do we play? How do I put him on the field? What is he going to look like? And all these different things. But given the past that he has with the Dynamo, obviously coming from no postseasons whatsoever, and then going back to back US Open Cup, do you guys think that gives him an upper hand when it comes to negotiations? Or I guess same question, how big is the leash for Ben Olsen, knowing that this is the last year that he has, that if you fire him, let's just say, I don't think they will, but let's just say everything is crap, right? Like nothing, he doesn't win a game and just everything happens bad.
No, I think they have to fire him. I think they have to hire him.
Yeah.
I think because as you mentioned, right? I think the reinforcements and the players they're bringing in are players that will make a difference, right? I mean, obviously, right now, today they're all healthy. You're starting fresh. It is going to take some time probably to acclimate, but knowing that they're experienced players, right? They're not a young 20, 21-year-old Bahamic that doesn't know who he is, and you're expecting for him to light up, MLS. These are guys that they've been there, done that, and because of that, it should be a faster, I guess, track of them kind of gelling together. And so, on paper, I mean, this is probably one of the best teams we've seen.
Probably,
when it comes to transfers in, for the Houston Dynamo ever. And so there's no excuses. If your team starts 10 games, 12 games, and you barely have any points, then I think they really have to pull the trigger on whatever it may be, right? Whether it be coaching, whether it be GM, like whatever needs to happen, they got it wrong. But I do feel that the optimism is there that won't be the case. At least, now if they don't make the playoffs and they fall short towards the end of the season, then that's still going to be a thing, right? I think that the contract extension may not happen and he may get X when it comes to Ben Olsen. And of course, I know that Pat and Asher had gotten a contract extension not that long ago, but I don't think they mentioned how many years that was the contract.
I mean, I think
but it's still, it's still kind of like you're still getting closer to that shopping block for sure.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, I think Asher and Pat are safe. I think their job is safe at least.
Yeah,
because they did everything in their power, right?
Correct, because of this offseason.
And most of the deals that they got, they were pretty good. I mean, they didn't spend a ton of money, and they did some. Brooklyn Range, you got money for that.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up, because one thing that I think Dustin was So one thing too, shout out. We being some of the Bayou City Soccer guys have been doing that tour whenever other podcasts asked to kind of get an idea of what the Houston Dynamo was going to look like and preview the season. Dustin was, man, I know I share that. If somebody can find it, that'd be great. But he was in another podcast, and I cannot think of the name right now. That we've done it before too. But anyways, one of the things that he talked about Brooklyn Reigns, and I think he said it on there, which was give me a second. I'll give you guys that information if you guys are interested in checking them out.
The Designated Pundits.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. And I myself did a recording with the designated players, an MLS podcast.
Damn,
So
everybody's designated.
everybody wants to be a DP.
Yeah,
but
I just put the link in the comments.
yeah, to your point of Brooklyn Reigns, and just quickly be the fact that they got everybody was like outraged, right, with Brooklyn Reigns, and maybe obviously that has dwindled down, that emotion, because of the players they brought in. But when you look at it, and something Dustin mentioned was, dude, they got the same amount of money basically that Houston Dynamo paid for a Jack McGlynn, who had already been playing with the U.S. national team, and Brooklyn is not there yet. So you do have to take that into consideration, and maybe that helps some of the people that are still kind of hurt by Brooklyn Reigns leaving.
Yeah,
and put it into perspective, like, okay, so we're saying that Jack is not good, or which one's better, right? Because I mean,
either Jack is, like, let's just say it was here, either Brooklyn is at the same level of Jack, or Jack is at the same level of Brooklyn. So like,
right,
which one goes down, which one goes up? And I think Jack doesn't go down. I think I mean, both of them are going up, right, in their trajectory of life. But I think selling Brooklyn after buying Jack, knowing where Jack is literally competing for a World Cup spot. Is he going to start? Probably not. But could he be one of the 26 or whatever, however many they take? I mean, yeah, I think he's there, right? And he has 6 months to prove it.
Yep.
And he could be there, even if you're in the conversation of the list of 30, right? That they cut you after, like, a month before. I think that's a great start for him because he's still young.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn is nowhere near that. And he was sold for that same amount of money that Jack was bought 1 year before. Right. So, either they have Brooklyn Reigns at a really, really high regard, which me personally, I don't think that's the case, or Jack was a really good deal. So
I do want to say something about that, though. And I mean, I guess we all know it, but Jack McGlynn bought for $2 million. However, 50%, I believe, of a future sale would go to Philadelphia. Correct. So obviously, like, not the same, the same, but there is a similarity there. And I think that at least for Reigns, I think incredible value. And I think Reigns a little higher than a lot of people do, just because I've kind of seen him grow from the Dynamo to the pathway, but still great business. Just wanted to add to that.
Yeah, 100%. Of course. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But again, it's showing the numbers, kind of putting it in front of people and be like, you make your own decision here, right? Yeah. Because again, it even though it's a year removed from the Jack McGlynn deal, it's like, well, look at the numbers. They're right there, and which one has a higher ceiling would be a Jack McGlynn that's already playing the U.S. national team. And clearly he was considered to be a much, higher ceiling by the amount of sell-on clause that was added to his contract. So yeah, it's definitely interesting dynamics for sure. When it comes to, like, all the moving pieces and of the roster building that is kind of happening right now with the Houston Dynamo. I'm assuming, guys, that we're getting close to the season starting. So if it's not next week, it'll probably be the week after that. We'll try to have, Juan, you're always welcome to join us as well. But we'll probably try to add 2 more of our guys in here and kind of do a round table and start kind of working on those fun predictions that we love to do. And the reason I say that is because I do see Mr. Tovar asking about what would be considered a successful season. I'll put it this way, though, without, getting everyone's input per se on this specific question, but you have to, you're only playing 2 competitions, as I think, you guys mentioned. So you have to win one of them. That's, to me, the successful season, to be honest. It has to be that high of an expectation.
That's a lot higher than what I had.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, like, again, I don't want to get too much because I really don't think they're like a top tier team from the get go. And I was laughing because I was the one in 2023 that I predicted them to be a top 4 team, and they did that in MLS. And then I predicted them to win the U.S. Open Cup, and they won it But I don't know if I have the same feeling, even though they brought in very good quality players, but we'll see kind of where that goes for sure. Let me see.
Last year left a sour taste in everybody's mouth, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess like coming
That's
into
a lot of doubt,
2023,
for sure.
yeah. Like, Hector Herrera's first full year, a lot of new guys. I guess this year, a lot of new guys, but still like a lot of that core from last year that kind of delivered a painful memory for a lot of Dynamo fans. It's still there. Like, especially Artur, I feel like started off his Dynamo career so well and then kind of fell off a cliff last year. So I guess the season depends on those guys, coming back from a difficult last year.
100%. 100%. And I think now the roster, like we mentioned, has been built for that. So I'm not going to go as extreme to say win a trophy, but I think if you're in the quarterfinals for both of them, quarterfinals, semifinals, I think is very doable. There's really good teams. I mean, somebody's asking if they can do a domestic double. I mean, when you look at teams like Miami who are stacked, LAFC, Seattle, like there's a lot of competition in this league. And for
San
the
Jose,
Dynamo,
I'm kidding. But they did add Timo Wegner.
Yeah,
So I mean that's a big
lot.
deal.
I mean, shoot, we forget that freaking Vancouver has what's his face.
Yeah, Thomas Mueller.
Yeah, so like the names are kind of coming into the MLS, and I think some teams are building really well, and then some teams are straight up. I'm not gonna say cheating, but they're close.
Yeah. Would not be surprised if in 10 years there's a 30-30 on one of those teams.
Netflix documentary.
They're pulling some Citigroup stuff. Yeah. But I think the Dynamo has a really good team, and I think if you had like tiers, tier A, B, or C, whatever, I think the Dynamo could easily be in that top tier B, and like be fighting to kind of climb into the A. Maybe that's too much for me to say, but I think a B for sure. I think they're competing there with the B tier teams. Having LAFC, Miami, maybe Seattle, Portland, and like the A tier, and then kind of maybe in one or two other teams. And then I think in the B you can always have like Philadelphia or like New York City. And I think the Dynamo easily, maybe top C, low B, middle B. I think it's a good way. But like Jeff says, strong opinions. I think at the end of the day, right, we're just gonna have to see it on the pitch. And that's where everybody's gonna do the talking. And obviously, right now, what we say is just kind of what we feel from looking at numbers and names and sheets and what they did in the past.
Yeah. I added this on here from 0 to 10. How confident do y'all feel about this Dynamo roster? So we're towards the end of the show. Oh, man. Jay says 10
out of 10, he said.
10 out of 10. That's,
What about y'all? What do y'all say?
I feel like at an 8, to be honest. Like I said, I think if there are a couple pieces defensively that you're like, okay, this is a solid team. They can compete. And looking around some of the other teams, that they have bolstered, but not necessarily a ton.
Yeah.
It makes you feel much better, especially on the Western Conference, right? Yeah. So, yes, you do have to play, like maybe LA Galaxy, who we know they're a good team, but they're kind of still stuck, especially with like a setback once again to like their best player and a bunch of like cap limitations. And we know LAFC is always going to be good. I mean, looks Bohanga may be on his way out as well.
That's crazy. Huh?
We talk about Timo Wegner, but that's one player. When Espinosa moved to Nashville, some of their creative pieces are gone. Mm-hmm. So the Western Conference, if you really sit down and look at it, is not going to – it doesn't seem on paper is going to be like the strongest. And the Dynamo, again, could compete to be one of the, the better top 8 teams for sure in it.
And as we always say, the regular season is one thing, and then the playoffs is a whole another ball game. And I think, eyes closed, like we say in Spanish, con los ojos cerrados, they have to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. They have to.
They have to. If this team doesn't make it to the playoffs, then this whole conversation with Ben Olsen is like, I mean, I think it's grounds for divorce. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's grounds for separation.
And I like that you mentioned that, because again, some people get so hung on the fact that they're like, oh, well, you just want them to make the playoffs. I'm like, no, but if you don't make the playoffs, you can't win the trophy. So like,
it's first step.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So it's like, you have to make the playoffs. You want it to be a playoff team. You want it to be a contender, and the only way to be a contender to win a trophy is to make the playoffs in MLS, right?
100%.
And then when it comes to the US Open Cup, it's a completely different beast because it's like win or go home. And the Houston Dynamo under Ben Olsen had been on both scenarios, right? Either go on a win streak or just fall short, game 2 or whatever the case may be. So no, it's exciting. And again, I mean, there's so much to talk about in the perspective of like what if, and we'll get there as the season gets a little closer. But any final thoughts that you may have, Chris, Juan, kind of related to the topic that we talked about today? Chris,
I mean, I can go first.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I'm excited for Bogusz. I'm excited for Markovic. The preseason games look great. For me, the expectation, I don't think I really laid it out for me, was I think if the team makes the play-in, that doesn't meet my expectations. I mean, considering what the team has done, I feel like if they reach the play-ins and they don't succeed first round exit, I think Ben Olsen's out.
Really?
If they get, and even if they get to like 7 for 6 and it's still like a first round unconvincing exit, I might do it too, because I mean, what more do Pat and Asher have to do? Exactly. I feel like considering the budget, considering everything they've done, I feel like they've set the team up with not only a very competitive team for this year, but with some GAM that they can spend this year and maybe even the next year. I feel like they've set themselves up after, I mean, let's be honest, kind of skimming by 2025, which I guess a lot of people predict was going to happen. So, I mean, the big question is that if Ben Olsen doesn't lead this team to at least look like the version that they were in 2023 or 2024, is he really the right man to lead them forward? I mean, I guess we'll see. It depends on the pitch.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting, too, because the team still has a lot of GAM and a lot of money that they can still spend and kind of, expand that roster to even better. Granted, they won't have any more DP spots to bring in somebody else. And at this point, you really don't need another DP, because you can't, as much as people want to dream it, right? But it does make you think like, okay, there is obviously a ton of time of a ton of time in the case of them making and winning a title, and that's something obviously they pushed for as well. But so let us know, is it enough to make the is it enough to make the playoffs for Ben Olsen to stay?
It's a really good question.
Another year.
Yeah, because I mean, like we said, it has to be already, even though it's way before the season starts and everything like that, but I think it's a conversation that has to be had. And some people might disagree, because we're just being super preemptive about it and just thinking way too ahead. But I mean, you went from 2 seasons where you did pretty good. I mean, really good, I would say. And then a season where it just didn't look good. Obviously, the team wasn't there, so it's kind of. I think for me, for example, it's kind of like, okay, you get a bye year. You get this one. We'll just won't count it against you, right? But I think this one, and I think Ben Olsen also mentioned it, if I'm not mistaken, in some way, shape, or form, that this year, like he's given all the weapons that he needs to succeed or at least be competitive. So
and I like that you guys point that out too, because one thing that I noticed, or a comment that I saw on social media when it came to like some of those post game pressers with Ben Olsen, people can see that he looks different. I think somebody put, is it just me or does Coach Olsen seem more optimistic? And it is a new season. He's gonna feel refreshed, but I think, again, knowing the amount of players that have come in and the talent, I think that should definitely give him a boost on, hey, what can we do? But I'm with Juan and I'm with you, Chris. It's like the leash is definitely getting much like shorter because he's in contract year at the end of the day. And there's guys that we've seen make the playoffs and have like a decent year and eventually, get cut off like, their role with the team, and you got to move on, and that's very normal. And you don't want to get to, there's 2 extremes, right? There's players that can have like maybe for instance, like a Peter Burmese, right? That he was there for such a long time with Sporting Kansas City, and eventually just kind of wasn't working anymore. And no matter the players that were bringing in, it just was not working. And then you also have the extreme of like a big team, like whether, you're taking it to the EPL or Liga or, La Liga, that it's like dude, heck, you take a Boca Juniors, right? You could be the top of the team, but you lose an important game or you get kicked out of one competition, and you know what? Later, and so there's definitely extremes, and the way that MLS works, you can definitely build like a dynasty with your coach if you want, and we've seen it not work as well whenever they keep cutting heads, and that's something that doesn't go there. Let's see. Victor says making the playoffs will be enough for the ownership to renew Olsen. I think
I agree, but I disagree.
Yeah.
Could they do it? Yes.
Yes.
Do I want it to like be the expectation? No, but those are two different things, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree with Victor as well, though, to an extent.
I mean, at the end of the day, the ownership is going to do whatever.
And it also depends, like that. Right? I think last time he got the contract extension was when they're really high up on the table with points, and that could be the case. But again, if you're dwindling from the get go, if it's August and they're like right there 9, 10, like kind of like on looking close to the playoff line, but not there yet, and they don't make it, or they do make it and they're booted out, in the first elimination game, first round of it. I don't see why they would move from him. I mean, it just as you guys mentioned, it's like the roster build has looked very good. I mean, this is again one of the best transfer classes that we've seen in the Houston Dynamo for a long time.
100%.
And with players that who they are, right? Because then you can look back at like other players, like when they brought in like maybe a Kyoto or Elisa Manotas, like you knew a potential, but it wasn't like a massive expectation for those guys. And it just happened that you had 3 guys that all clicked and they scored goals and assists, and they had a really good year in 2017. And here it's more of like, these are the guys that you're bringing in because this is the way you want to play, and this is all you. So make it happen. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. So, it's definitely interesting for sure, man.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I might be wrong, but Achache was probably the only DP that was like proven coming in. Everybody else
for a long
maybe
time,
was just an unknown guy that, on paper looked good.
You weren't happy about Luis Landin or Eric Cubo Torres? I mean,
I don't know who Luis Landin is.
Nobody knows at this point.
You know what I mean? Cubo Torres, he was just like a I guess a no name in some circles, but was he like a star? Yeah.
No.
You can argue both ways in a sense, right? Some people would be like, "Oh no, he was top of the world," because he did come from Chivas, right? Like he was una figurita, like he was a name that was around in the circle of Liga MX, and I mean it was a catchy name and this and that. So I mean, and you have obviously the Mexican, the great Mexican culture here, and all the Mexican people that watch.
Maybe I'm looking at the list. So. I think maybe DeMarcus Beasley was probably the one.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
even then, you're like,
Darwin Quintero was also kind of like towards the end of his.
Because he came from America, and then he had some really good years in Minnesota. So he was kind of proven in a way. He just, he was a weird player. Because I liked him and I hated him at the same time. Like he was so good, but also he was so lazy. Like it was just one of those.
Yeah, Vicente Sanchez that you mentioned, and I was thinking about him too, but he wasn't a DP, man. The guy, he was solid. He was good. But guys, man, this has been a great show. I said let's say under an hour, and we're at an hour and 3 minutes, so we still.
This always happens. Every time I'm on.
Hopefully that's not the case with the Dynamo. They're like slipped in like last second into the playoffs because
some would argue that that's the best way to go into the playoffs because you're on fire.
But that is true. Get hot towards the end. Let the Dynamo lose 10 games and then see if they can bring it back, at this rate. But Christian, if you can tell the people how they can connect with us, man, and we'll close it out here.
BayouCitySoccer.net is the website, guys. Go check it out over there. Everything and anything that you need for Houston and soccer in Houston. So go check it out. The World Cup's coming. There's going to be a lot of good content. The season is coming. There's going to be a lot of good content. Don't forget to check us out on all social media platforms. We're under Bayou City Soccer. And don't forget to also stay tuned to this YouTube channel where we have Orange and Blueprints on Wednesdays. And then on Thursdays, we have our Spanish, so you can tell your tia and your tío and your dad. And
we'll have it this week for sure.
Yeah. I'll try to jump in because then I'll be right after the training and stuff like that.
That's
so
true.
we'll have some information there. But yeah, I mean, go check it out. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Elotes Bravos at Shell Energy Stadium. Every time you go, make sure you get some corn in a cup. It's delicious. Check out uglyguppy.uglyguppy.com for any of your printing needs that you may need or want. And We Got Soccer at wegotsoccer.com. They have all the best gear in Houston for you players, coaches, dads, parents, everybody, even the players. So even a fan. So go check it out. They have a great selection on both of their stores. Both of the stores are huge. I've been to both of them. So we'll be out there too, doing some live shows. So hopefully we'll see you guys out there with some players. We had a couple of last year, so hopefully this year we'll be able to do that as well. So you guys can come and talk to the players, get some signatures and stuff like that, take some pictures. I think that'll be fun for everybody. So we'll see.
Well, Juan, man, thanks again for joining us. This is you're always welcome to join us, man.
Sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'll be honest, Juan, I'll break the news here. Juan is going to do a lot of the Dynamo 2 stuff this year, and also the Dynamo stuff too. I always loved Juan the way that even though he's a young guy, but he's super smart, and I think this year for Bayou City Soccer is going to bring a lot of potential. He actually wants to make this a career, so he's actually trying. So not that we're not, but I'm dumb. He's not. But I'm excited to see Juan and everything that he's going to do for us. And I've been seeing, reading the conversations that he has with Dustin on our chat, and he has some good stuff under his sleeves. So be looking out for that. I think Juan is going to do great, and he's going to do justice to the young talent coming up.
I appreciate it. I'm so excited for this season. I really can't wait to hammer down, see all the D2 guys, some interviews. Hopefully,
yes.
I reached out to some people about that today. Let's see if we can get that stuff kind of ironed out. But I'm so excited. I love being part of this community right now, and I guess let's keep it going. Season's about to start. Exciting.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. We try to stay upbeat, so that's why we didn't talk at all about the new away kid. My goodness, what was that about? That'd be for another episode. We'll get. Well, yeah, I remember because I saw your purple kid, but my goodness, we'll talk about it next episode. Hopefully by then, the official unveiling happens and we see it in person and we can actually give 2 cents, because those pictures and those people were showing it. Oof.
Give it a chance. Give it a little bit of time.
It's definitely the most unique kid I've ever seen, but I don't know, it's high. It's definitely high on my table, but probably with the table inverted, upside down.
The table on fire.
But no, we'll get there, man. Hopefully that you guys enjoy this podcast. If you don't catch it live, like always, look for it on our podcast feed, and you can always go back and check out the live stream on the YouTube channel. So don't forget to hold it down, keep it forever orange, and we'll see you next week, guys. Peace.